So design critique is not the same as design review. Here's what I mean by that. Critique or design crit is something where you analyze a design and see if that design meets its objectives. The point of a critique is to improve the work, and it is the essence of design. As Erica Hall writes, the practice of design is creation and criticism in dialogue with one another, and we've emphasized the creation and lost sense of the criticism. And to do good crit sessions, you need psychological safety in your team. So team members need to know there won't be any negative consequences or any retribution, and critiques must be given in good faith. So this isn't something that can happen if you have ad hoc feedback sessions, and that's why crit sessions are so important. They carve out the space with psychological safety. So the reason this is different to design reviews is because a design review often has non-design people in the room, there's someone whose job it is to approve the design, there's an expectation that everything is highly polished, it's basically finished, and design reviews really are evaluative. They're about evaluating the work. Crit sessions, on the other hand, only have UX or design people in the room, and it's not about getting approval. It's more about open-ended feedback. Because of that, the work is often still unfinished, still in an exploratory stage, and yeah, it's not about evaluating. If you're in a crit session, this is how you should ask for feedback. You should first consider what is the relevant context of what you're presenting, what are the objectives, what are the goals, what are the constraints you might have, and what is the kind of feedback you're looking for? Is it visual design feedback? Is it more like user journey style feedback? And I think it's really important to frame your ask for feedback with all of these things in mind. Some obstacles to having good crit sessions are that there could be uneven power dynamics in the room. Maybe one person's way more senior and wants everyone to know it. There might be a lack of psychological safety where you're not able to focus on the work without focusing on the person presenting the work. It might be hard to get the right time in if everyone who's a designer in your organization is really busy and has loads of meetings or isn't working full time. It can often be hard to prioritize crit sessions. And getting everyone up to speed with context. Now, this is so important to be able to give good feedback, really understanding what the context of a piece of design is and what its objectives are. And if you're not able to succinctly share that context with other people in your business, it can be really hard to get feedback. So to make crit sessions go better, it's important to make them part of how you work. You have to have the right people in the room, and you have to have a framework so that you're using the time effectively. It's not just ad hoc where people are throwing out feedback willy-nilly. You want to make sure that you're working to a framework. It's also important to not have commentator-only roles. Now, there's a bit of leeway with this. Some people think that you should have commentator roles, but I believe that if people are critiquing their work, it's only fair that the people giving feedback have their own work ready to be critiqued as well. Each session should have around 4 pieces of work. Again, this is just a rule of thumb, but any fewer and it feels like you've wasted the meeting and wasted the time, and any more, then there's definitely just not enough time to get through everything. And if you are submitting work, you should be prepared and willing to receive feedback. And remember that receiving criticism on a design is a part of the process. It actually is what design is. So here's an example from the Nielsen-Norman group about what an invite to a crit session should look like. It should have an agenda for the items that are being put up for critique, as well as time boxing for them. It should have a reminder of the rules of a good crit session. And it should also ideally have a link to the designs so that people can take a look before and have a chance to formulate their thoughts before seeing the design work. So a company called Ramp use a really good framework for crit sessions called truth-seeking pods. So all of their team members are split up into different pods, and the pods are super tightly knit. This again is so important to create that psychological safety we've been talking about. And each week they meet up to 3 times to present their work. So that's a really high frequency of feedback, which just helps make their products so good. The other thing they focus on at Ramp is they really focus on what the framework is. Instead of just talking about the solution they got to, they really go deep on what the framework they used to get there was. The last thing to say is that design crits aren't for everyone. They might not work if your team is too small, If there's a lack of design fluency, maybe your team isn't all designers or you're all at different levels, or maybe your company is just growing really fast and you don't really have the capacity to add in crit sessions. If that's the case, I would still urge getting feedback on design work. It's such an important part of the design process. And here's a great example from Elizabeth Lin of how to frame a request in Slack where you ask for feedback. Here you can see there's a very clear context and goal and designs and then a final ask. Anyway, that was the difference between design crit and design review. If you found this video useful, I'd really appreciate it if you shared it with a friend who you think might also benefit from seeing it. And if you liked it, I'd love if you hit the like button down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.